What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The Podfather Nate here from the Journey into Comics podcast, the flagship show of the Journey into Comics Network. I just want to make sure you guys know you can tune in every single Monday for a brand new episode of our show, where if it's comic book related, we've got you covered.
The following
is a Journey into Comics.
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 Network.
Production.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the teaser episode of Crucial Tunes, the music show. I don't know what else to say. Hosted by myself, Chris Plant from Kids for Sale podcast, and my best bud, Larry Rosenko. Larry, say hey.
Hey, what's up?
So this show is something we're going to start doing on a every other week basis.
Exclusive.
But so we figured it's December already, December of 2018. What better way to kick off our show than to do an episode of just our 2018 top 10 favorite albums that came out this year. There's been a lot of good ones this year. It was actually, I don't know about yourself, but it was hard for myself to narrow it down to 10.
Every year I just do a 10. This is the first year that I had to do a 20 in my life.
Yeah, there was a lot of bangers this year, and it's not just. I mean, we're in a pop punk band together, so there is going to be. I in my list personally, I know there's a couple of pop punk albums.
I got a few, yeah.
But I feel like we listen to a decent enough variety of music that that there should be a good mix and everything. And I also have some honorable mentions that we can do at the end of the episode. And
sure.
The first thing I wanted to do, though, I don't know if you have any of these or not, but I came up with like a list of albums that like I had really looked forward to because I liked the other bands, the band's other works, or people had told me all about it, and then I listened to it and I was bummed.
Sure.
So I have a few of those that I wanted to, like right off the bat, I'm gonna say, and everybody's gonna shut it off right here because I'm gonna say Sleep. Did you listen to the Sleep album this year?
I'm not into Sleep.
It's a stoner metal band. And I guess they haven't put out an album in, 20 years or something like that.
Yeah, some crazy shit.
And everybody was like, oh, Sleep, they're putting on... I'm not going to say I hated it, but it's not my thing, man. I don't get it. It's stoner metal. It all sounds...
slow and
again, it's a lot of people are going click right now just because I said that, but whatever.
They can turn it off and smoke weed and listen to slow metal.
But, another one that was a real disappointment to me was you listen to Ben Howard at all ever? Ben Howard is a singer songwriter, does acoustic-y stuff, and I love him. I love his old stuff. He put out a new album this year, and I don't get it. I don't get what direction he's going with it. It's really super crazy, overboard, overproduced. I feel like his other stuff was a lot simpler and it sounded a lot better.
Sure.
But, I don't know. Is this going anywhere? This disappointing albums of 2018. Do you have any disappointing albums?
I don't know if it came out this year. I think it either came out this year or really late last year. But I was really hyped for that Code Orange record, and I was not into it, at fucking all.
There was a Code. I'm sorry, I'm eating ramen. There was a Code Orange album this year, and it was not as good as their last one. Oh shit! What was their last album called? With the green.
I Am King.
I Am King, yeah. That one
rules.
That one rules.
So I thought this album was gonna rule, and it sounded
the follow-up was not
like a shitty version of Fear Factory.
Yeah.
Wasn't into it.
I didn't hate it, but yeah, that was a disappointment. I was expecting more from them, and
for sure. Because they got unreasonably big, really fucking fast.
Well, they signed to Roadrunner, which Roadrunner has done a lot for getting them on the mainstream circuit for a hardcore band, And actually, it's funny. When they first got signed to Roadrunner, there was they were quoted saying "Oh, we're not going to be playing these stupid festival circuits with Killswitch Engage." I think they called out Killswitch Engage specifically or something.
All they play is festivals.
But now they play festivals with Killswitch Engage, and
that's all they do.
I know. So they really.
Why would you not want to do that?
I don't know, because they're a cool hardcore band. They can't be
No,
with
they
the
all
mainstream.
look like they're like in the Matrix and shit now.
I know, but I'm saying like that's they built their image up as like this cool, completely non-stream hardcore band, non-mainstream, non-stream. Yeah, non-stream. But now they're in the mainstream now, and it's anyway. So yeah, their album was disappointing. But let's skip on to these the actual the good stuff, the top 10. So I'll go ahead and kick mine off. My number 10. I'm guessing we're going from bottom to top.
Sure.
Do you have an order to yours, or are yours just like 10 really good albums?
I took my list of 20 and took off 10 of them, and it was super tough. So I had to take the 10 I liked the most. I'd say the top 3 are solid, but otherwise I'll just kind of go with it. Okay,
that's fair enough. My number 10 album, coming in at number 10, is one that actually just got released about, I want to say 2 weeks ago. I think it was either late November or early December.
How can you have an album that's that fresh?
Because I really like it a lot.
Actually, I have one of those too.
Mine is Architects, Holy Hell.
Cool. I'm sick, actually.
It is super good, like really well produced, like genty metalcore album. I really like Architects. I've liked everything Architects has ever done, and this album probably not as good as some of their older stuff, but it's right up there. And it definitely came in as one of my favorite metal albums of the year. But I do have a couple more metal albums on my list. So, what's your number 10?
Belmont.
It's the self-titled Belmont album that dropped August,
maybe
somewhere around August.
It was like right when you moved here ish.
Oh, it was later than that because I moved here earlier in the year, and Belmont dropped.
Well, okay, I was wrong.
Their first single did drop pretty early on when I moved into this house.
Sure.
But the full album didn't drop until maybe July, August, somewhere in there. Because I went to the release party, and I want to say that was in August.
It's a great album.
It is really good.
Super like complex sounding almost for being like a pop punk record. There's a lot going on.
Right.
It's
really good technical drum work on it. Their drummer
he can cool it occasionally.
Yeah, but I like it though.
I do. I'm really into it.
Their drummer is phenomenal.
I like the sound of that guy's voice.
Actually, I'll go ahead and just like give it away. That was my number 3, so we don't have to revisit it later on. But yeah,
if you do that, I'll say, oh, that's mine.
I loved it. It is my number 3 album on my list. It's a great album. So, my number 9. I don't know. I know you were, when we talked about this a couple months ago doing this episode. I know you mentioned this was going to be on your episode, on your list. Jesus Piece.
Jesus Piece is on my list.
What's the name of that album?
Only Self.
Only Self. I was going to say because I accidentally wrote Only Song, so I knew that wasn't right. Only Self. Jesus Piece, it grew on me. The first time I listened to it.
It's fucking intense.
The first time I listened to it, I was like, it was good, but I wasn't crazy about it. Like, so between you and our buddy Andy Reid, you guys were both telling me, oh, you're going to love this album. And I listened to it and I was like, it's there, it's cool.
It's sick.
But then the more I listened to it, and here's the thing, if you're going to listen to this album, this Only Self by Jesus Piece, I highly recommend that, like, don't put it on while you're, like, working around the house, or don't put it, if you have time, sit down with, like, a decent pair of headphones or on a good stereo or something, and actually listen to it, because what caught me on this album was the whoever the producer is on it, I wish I would have looked it up, the producer was brilliant. Like the effects and stuff, and the weird spins he put on, like just the drum effects and everything, it changes so much throughout the album, and there's such a good mix and stuff. He took just like and don't get me wrong, it's a really good metal album.
Yeah.
But he took a good metal album and turned it into art with all the.
They signed a fucking Southern Lord, which is like Son, like Wolves in the Throne Room, like real crazy shit. Mm-hmm. So like it's like the first time like a normal basic hardcore band signed to that label, so they made something real fucking nuts out of it.
Yeah, it is really great.
A great record.
But okay, did that come in on your list?
It did.
Okay,
on these 10, yeah.
What do you want to do for your next one?
Silent Planet. What's it called? When the End Began. Never listened to Silent Planet until a month and a half ago. Ever.
Yeah.
And I see their name on all kinds of shit. I'm like, what is this band? And I saw like 1 or 2 of their videos. Like, oh wow.
I really liked that album a lot too. it has a very, since we already talked about Architects, has a very Architects sound to it. In fact, there was one song on the album that I texted you even. I was like, oh, this sounds like this Architects song.
It sounds exactly like that.
But the rest of the album is really good, and it didn't make my list mostly because it's got that weird. So with all those djenty metal bands, there's like this weird effect that they put on everything that almost sounds like they're playing like in a garbage can. It's like a really metallic kind of reverb sound, and that's real heavy on that album. And it was hard for me to listen to the whole thing, but a track at a time, it is a phenomenal album.
It's a really good album. I like it a lot.
My number 8. This could be controversial, just because it's somebody that it's that XXXTentacion. I don't know is that how you pronounce his name? That XXXTentacion, the rapper that got shot in Florida like over the summer sometime. So there's controversy behind him because supposedly he well, I'm not going to say supposedly because I don't know whether to believe it or not. Allegedly.
Same thing as supposedly.
Well, no, supposedly kind of says that I doubt it. Allegedly means it could be true. You know, allegedly he beat his pregnant girlfriend, and that was the big controversy.
Sure.
But post-mortem, after he was shot, I guess she has come out and said that it was not true. That it was, it was made up, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I don't know if it happened or not, but anyway.
I feel like she might have been paid to say that.
Maybe. But either way, I was against listening to it for a while until I read up that, it could be fake. And I was just like, whatever. Separate art from artist,
I can't.
So I listened to the album, and it's the album. The question mark is the title of the album.
You sent me some stuff.
I told you several times to listen to it.
Oh yeah.
I love that album. It's like a really artistic rap album.
Sure.
He does a lot of. Some of it's just basic rap. Some of it's like really. There's a lot of cool like acoustic guitar stuff on it, and it's. I don't know. It was
Travis Barker plays drums on something.
Yes, he does, and it's awesome. And that's the thing too. So the track that Travis Barker plays on, he like goes into this like screaming thing.
It's really cool.
It's a good album. I love it. I loved it. That's my number 7. Or I'm sorry, my number 8.
Not to backtrack to the first segment real quick, but hands down by a landslide, the most disappointing album of the year that I was super hyped on was Under Oath.
Oh, that's on my list.
Of albums that you like?
No, of disappointing.
Oh, because I was like, what are you? That album is fucking terrible.
No, it's awful. It's Target metal, and when I like Target, the big box store metal, and I say that because
Target metal.
When that album came out, they were like you go back to the TV section of the store, and their music video was on all the big screen TVs in the back of Target, and I was like, this album is just a paycheck to them. That's all it is a paycheck. Yeah, well. And it sounds like it too. It doesn't sound any better than that. I hated it. It was terrible. But yeah, what's your number?
Was your 7?
No, my number 8 was.
Oh, 8. I'm gonna go with 8. Post Malone.
That's on my list. That's my number 6.
I did not like Post Malone for a very long time. Didn't really know much about Post Malone. Just saw him on everything, memes and his sketchy ass face and shit all the time. And I'm like, yeah, fuck this guy. I heard a bunch of songs on the radio, not knowing it was him. I'm like, oh, this song's tight. Now I'm like, these are all Post Malone. Dude, Post Malone's great.
So he got famous for that White Iverson or whatever, and I don't like that song. I think it's boring.
This song is sick.
I think it's boring. So I just never really bothered with him much. But then, like you said, I started hearing some songs off of this. It's Beer Bongs and Bentleys, which sounds like a rap album that I would hate. That title does not pique my interest at all.
That title is fantastic.
But I started listening to it. I was like, holy shit, this is a really good album. It's I think my top rap album of the year. Yeah, that's my number 6 for the year. It's Post Malone, Beer Bongs and Bentleys. And on top of just how much I like it, my kids love it too. So it's on at our house all the time.
Because it's awesome.
It's great. It really is good.
It's smooth. It's super catchy.
Yeah.
Parts of it are like fucking hard.
Yeah. And he also seems like a super likable dude. Like he just seems like he's cool
like
with everybody.
Scumbag.
He's dirty as hell, but like he seems like a super nice dude. Like he just chill with everybody, and that's the impression I get from him. That's the impression that I get. My number 7. I think I heard you cross it off your list before we started. My number 7 is Vane, Error Zone.
I did take that off because it just I like these other albums better. But that album is fucking
It's so good.
It's so good.
I actually just saw Vane a couple weeks ago, and I missed almost their whole set. I got the last 2 songs, and I'm really bummed that I missed it. I'm going to see them again.
How did that work? Did they open?
Weeks. Yeah, they opened.
Oh, weird.
Well, they opened for goddamn. They opened for so the headliners were Turnstile and then Every Time I Die. The middle band, the one you like, that
Angel Dust.
Angel Dust.
Angel Dust fucking rules.
Angel
Dust is awesome.
I can't do Angel Dust. It doesn't. They don't do anything for me. And especially live, I did not like them live either. But Vane opened, and I only caught the last 2 songs, and I was really bummed because their album is super good. It's like, I don't know, it's a really good like hardcore metalcore like.
It sounds like it was released in like 1998.
I was gonna say like 2003. Like, do you remember the band Genghis Tron?
Yeah, I remember Genghis Tron.
Genghis Tron. There's elements of the album that remind me a lot of Genghis Tron. It's like just chaotic hardcore with at least the first song, and there's a couple spots throughout where there's like almost a techno-y element to it, but not nearly as much as Genghis Tron, but just small bits and pieces. So that's my number 7 is Vane.
Nice. I will go with Story So Far.
Okay. Story So Far, Proper Dose was in my top 20. It did not make my top 10.
I was not hyped about it.
Yeah.
Like, they released a couple singles, and I'm like, fuck, this is lame. Like, I mean, I get they're, like, progressing and being artistic or whatever, but, like, fuck that.
Yeah.
And it released, like, I opened my Spotify and, like, notified me. It goes, oh, this album's out right now. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to listen to it. And the first 2 songs on the album instantly changed what I thought about that album.
I liked it a lot. It was really good, but I was also trying to mix up my top 10 as much as I could.
I did too, and I look at it now, and it's
like,
so much pop punk.
I was gonna say I didn't want to have 6 pop punk albums out of my top 10, so I picked 2 of my top pop punk albums, and Story So Far was not one of them. Oh. And actually, I think we already mentioned Belmont was one of mine. That was my number 3 top album of the year. Even not like just pop punk. That was number 3 of my top 10 of all year.
I know what your number 1 is, but I don't know what your number 2 is.
I don't think you'll be surprised when you hear it, because I've talked about it a lot.
Oh!
But,
I know what it is. Is that your number 1?
No.
Okay.
So, yeah, but Story So Far, it is a great album. It's like you said, it's more of a grown-up,
for sure,
artsy.
And, and the whole album's, like, conceptually about, like, just, like, drinking lean and being spun out on drugs, and, like, it sounds like it, kind of.
Yeah.
It's cool.
My next one, number 6, was going to be Post Malone.
All right.
Beer Bongs and Bentleys, but we don't have to go back through that again. Do you have a number 6 on yours?
Not really in order, but Lost Years. That
Lost
EP
Years?
they put out this year.
So Lost Years, for anybody that's outside of our listening area, I guess, Lost Years is a local band. Mm-hmm. Guys that we played a few shows with, and they're phenomenal live. And actually, the EP they put out this year, really good. Really, really good.
Like, the first time I listened to it, I was, like, really bummed. Because it's, like, they're one of the only other, like, 30-year-old
heavy
drunk pop punk bands around here.
Yeah.
It's like us and them. Everyone else is, like, substantially younger than us.
Yeah.
And I listened to it, and I'm like, oh, like, this is so much better than anything we've ever done. It's so fucking good. It's only, I think, like 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah,
every song
short.
is incredible front to back.
I will agree with that.
Really, there's probably not been a week since it came out, like, earlier in the year. I think it came out in, like, April or something.
Yeah.
I listen to it at least, like, twice a week still.
I wish I would have thought of that, because I'll be honest, I didn't think of any locals. I guess technically you could consider Belmont a local, but now they're national now, because they
and they're also not from here.
Well, yeah, I know, but, like, they in the same way that, like, last year I would have considered Turnspit to be one of my top.
Sure.
And they're from Chicago.
Yeah, they're not local. It's like saying the Smashing Pumpkins is local.
Yeah.
They're not. Like, we're not from there.
But, so, I know, so here, we want to get into, like, the discrepancy here. Like, so, people from Chicago don't consider Northwest Indiana to be a suburb of Chicago.
It's not. It's in a different state.
It's in a different state, but the community itself never stops. Like, you're driving through city all the way into Indiana, and it's not like there's a gap of suburb in between. You know what I mean? There's not like a gap of rural area between Chicago and, say, like I don't know, Hammond, Hobart. Yeah. It's all just continuous development. So that's why I consider it a suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
And not to mention, also, if you go on Craigslist and you go to the Chicago Craigslist, Northwest Indiana is part of the Chicago Craigslist.
And Craigslist determines geography 100%.
Exactly. Well, so just because there's a state line there, we're still an hour away, which there's suburbs of Chicago to the west side that are more than an hour away from downtown that are still considered suburbs, but just because that state line there,
sure.
You know, we're Bears fans, bro.
I'm not.
I know you're not. I know you don't give a shit. But everyone around here is Bears fans, so we're a Chicago suburb.
My parents like the Colts more than they like me.
Oh, that's dumb.
Hey, Ma.
Yeah, we got off topic here. Oh yeah, so I didn't think of any locals except for, I guess, technically Belmont is a Chicago local, but they're officially like in the mainstream eye now.
Yeah,
you know, they're not
getting quite large.
They're not a local underground band anymore. But my number 5, Pig Destroyer, Head Cage.
Sick,
dude. That Pig Destroyer album, it's so good. It's so good that I listened to it on repeat, and I think I got through it about 1.5 times before like I even felt like I was listening to it over again. You know, it felt like a good continuous album, and it was something that like I immediately wanted to listen to again. It's so good, and I've listened to it. So the measure of how I got these albums on my top 10 is if it's a record that I can put on and just keep on all the way start to finish, like without feeling like I need a break and I need to put something else on. If I can get through this album start to finish, which there was more than just these 10 that I was able to do that with.
All 20 of mine were good front to back.
But yeah, this Pig Destroyer album, like, fuck. I love Pig Destroyer already anyway, but like my favorite Pig Destroyer is Prowler in the Yard, which I don't even remember what year that came out. That was years and years ago. So I wasn't expecting to love this Pig Destroyer album as much as I did. And I don't know how many more times I can say Pig Destroyer and
couple.
Yeah, Pig Destroyer. Great album.
Cool. What have I got on here? J. Cole.
J. Cole's in my top 20.
That album is fantastic.
It almost made my top 10. It's very close.
It's the only thing J. Cole's ever done that I've liked.
I didn't even know J. Cole at all before this album.
He's like been super huge for years.
I'm not huge into the rap game. Like I don't know the rap game.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I wish we had a video going of that because that was awkward.
That was the worst.
I don't know a lot of rap. I don't know a lot about rap. I listen to a fair amount of it, but like it's not something that I normally would like pick up an album and listen to the whole album. I usually pick and choose songs. So for a rap album to get me from start to finish is pretty rare. And that J. Cole album is great. I agree with that. I wish it would have made my top 10, but it was like it just squeaked out at number 11. It was my number 10 until Architects came out, and I just got bumped a little.
Sure.
But my number 4 now, which is my other pop punk album on my top 10, which I'm really bummed because I've seen people posting all these like top 10 lists and, these are my favorite albums of the year. And even on like the pop punk groups I follow on Facebook, nobody is mentioning this album. And it's Living with Lions, Island.
That's a fantastic record.
It is so fucking good. And nobody is talking about it. And I don't understand why. Is it just not as good as I think it is? Or is it just, Living with Lions has been like out of the spotlight enough that
kind of
people just forgot about it. But goddamn, if you have a chance, listen to the whole album, start to finish. So good. It's such a fun, upbeat album, but it's like, I don't know, their vocal harmonies and everything. It's just, I can't describe why I love it so much, but it's just, it gets me. It gets right in there, and I fucking love it. And it bumped Trash Boat out of my top 10. So, yeah, I know.
What?
Which I'm sure Trash Boat's going to be coming up here soon.
Bet.
But yeah, I love Trash Boat, but Living with Lions absolutely bumped Trash Boat to me. So
you like that Living with Lions album better than you like the Trash Boat album?
yes.
That's crazy. I mean, it's good, but like that Trash Boat album is that Trash Boat album.
I know. That's why I'm surprised, but I'm still eating ramen, by the way.
It's like a massive bowl of ramen. It's like 4 pounds of ramen.
It's 2 packs. 2 packs,
but it's a bunch of ramen.
You're number 4?
Real Friends.
Real Friends. Composure? Yep. Is that the name of the album?
Yep. It's like melodically so much different than anything they did before. Like they focus so much on melody, and it's insane the stuff they came up with.
I was going to say that's another one that they grew up. You know, when they wrote this album, they grew up. Their sound grew up, and I was going to compare. What was the other one we were just talking about? The Story So Far. Mm-hmm. I was going to compare the Story So Far album to this Real Friends album because I feel like they both moved in the same kind of.
Sure.
Getting away from the pop punk a little bit and more into just like this melodic, like not indie, just kind of like melodic rock with pop punk elements.
Sure.
You know, they both are moving in that direction, which seems to be the direction a lot of bands are going nowadays. But those two albums,
doing that.
No, these two albums really like showcase that to me.
Sure.
And I also love the Real Friends album. I like the Real Friends album more than, well, I guess you do too. This more than Story So Far.
For sure, I love this Real Friends album.
It is a great album. It's one that I was disappointed to bump off my list, but I just got to make way. Got to make way.
Got to have Pig Destroyer on it and say the name a bunch of times.
Yeah, Pig Destroyer. So my number 3, as I already mentioned, was Belmont, which is a Chicago local band who are just like. Now with the release of this album, they're blowing up. So,
yep.
And it's a fantastic pop punk album. It's got, I'm not comfortable with this term because I still don't completely understand it, but I guess it could be considered easy core. I know that's with some of the heavier pop punk bands. I know that's a term that gets thrown out a lot, like A Day to Remember and stuff. Basically, pop punk with really brutally heavy breakdowns, and Belmont kind of fits into that category.
Sure. They're also like prog-ish. Like they're super technical.
I was going to say their guitarists do a lot of like crazy, just like it's little stuff that a lot of people don't even probably pay attention to, but little leads in between measures and stuff. They'll do like little runs on the guitar, and it's like super intricate to listen to if you're paying attention to it, but it's also stuff that like it could be completely missed if you're not into that kind of thing. But I don't know. It's a great album. I didn't mean to get back into it because we already talked about it. But
it's like the third time we talked about it.
I know. What's your number 3? Let's move on.
What would my number 3 be? Why do I feel like I'm missing an album off of my list?
I don't
know. Trio.
Oh, Alkaline Trio?
Yeah.
So, I was going to name a couple of albums at the end that for whatever reason I haven't gotten around to listening to, and that's one of them. I know a lot of people loved it.
It's the first Trio record in a long time that I really liked.
I was going to say you're a huge Trio fan.
Huge.
So for you to put one of their albums in your top 10 is not probably that uncommon, but the fact that...
I haven't put a Trio album on one of my albums of the year. When did I start doing these? Probably like 2008. I don't think I ever put a Trio album on it because really since then they haven't put out anything that I thought was that good.
So they're back in it again.
For now, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I've been wanting to check it out. It's
great. It's a great album.
Whenever comes time to put a new album on, I don't think about it because like something else will have just gotten released or you know I'll open Spotify and it'll say, hey, you haven't checked this out in a while, and I'll be like, yeah, I haven't checked that out in a while, so I forget about Trio, and I feel bad. It's supposed to be good.
It'll be all right.
I want to check it out. I know. I'm sure they're disappointed.
You're a fucking guy.
By number 2, it shouldn't come as a surprise because I haven't shut the fuck up about this album since it came out. But Soulfly's Ritual, I know, Soulfly. Yes, I said Soulfly. You know, the band that hasn't been good since like 2004, and even then, I don't know how good they were, or if I was just like still into new metal stuff back then. But Ritual, holy shit, the best metal album I've ever listened to in my life.
Ever?
Yes, ever. I've listened to it enough times that I can confidently say it is my.
It's the best metal album ever.
It's my favorite metal album ever. I'm not gonna say like it should be everybody's, but it hits my tastes just right. That it is absolutely 100% the best metal album I've ever listened to. I love it.
Wow.
It's because it's not. When you think Soulfly, if anybody is familiar with Soulfly, everybody just thinks like, oh, it's just like cheesy nu metal riffs with tribal drums over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that. In fact, there's only a couple songs.
But they do still do that.
They do. There's a couple songs with some small sections of tribal drums in it. But it's not like tribal drums for a whole song or even a whole album. It's like bits and pieces. They do it in moderation. And the thing that really stands out to me on this album, somewhere in the last 5 or so years, I think, they got a new drummer, and this drummer is a lot more technical and a lot better than their previous drummer, I think anyway. Just listening to it sounds a lot better. And they were able to pull off some stuff that I don't think they've ever been able to pull off before. There's like elements of death metal in it. There's elements of like, I don't know. It's got a little mix of everything. It's not just a straight up nu metal album, which is what people I think are expecting when you hear Soulfly put out a new album. They're just thinking of like 2003 shit nu metal with tribal drums on it, and it's not that at all. It is a fantastic just metal album with elements of everything in it. It's so good. It's so good.
Cool.
I've listened to it. It just came out I think in September or maybe early October, and I've probably listened to it at least 50 times since then, start to finish.
All right.
It's so good.
Cool.
What's your number 2?
Your number 1.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So should I do my number 1 and then we'll just talk about that one?
If you want, because I think I already then blew your number 1.
Oh yeah, it's Trash Boat.
Trash Boat.
My number 1 is
Crown
Trash
Shyness.
Boat. 100%. It is exactly what they needed to do since their last album. It's perfect.
It is very good. It is a very good album. Like I said, I liked it a lot more until I heard the Living with Lions album, and then after hearing the Living with Lions album, I realized like I wish the Trash Boat album sounded more like this, and so that's why
every album sounded like Crown Shyness.
That's why Trash Boat got bumped off of my list. They're in my top 20, but that's why it got bumped off of my top 10 entirely.
Sure.
It would probably have ranked maybe right around the same as Belmont if I had kept it on my list, but because Living with Lions came out, I bumped it. But that's not to take away from it. It's a great album, and it's a great album. I don't know what else to say about it. I loved it.
It's a lot heavier than their last album. It's a lot sadder and darker.
It is very dark, like lyrically very dark.
Super dark.
But it's also, I feel like, the Trash Boat album, the Story So Far album, and the Real Friends album, there's a lot of dark lyrics. Mm-hmm. Like it's talking, they talk about depression and having issues.
Sure.
With like you said, with the Story So Far, there's like drug issues and stuff like that. But it also comes from like a place of hope, like because they talk about these things, but they talk about it like they've moved on and they're writing about that experience of having gone through it. I
hear that on like some of the Real Friends stuff,
especially the Real Friends.
I don't hear much of that on the Trash Boat record. It's just all bummer and about how shit's just gonna stay a bummer.
Okay.
Like it's a lot lyrically the As It Is album. Did you listen to that?
No, I don't think I did.
It's fucking great. I'm actually kind of wondering why it wasn't on my list now. It was on my 20. I kind of wish I would have left it on my 10 because it's so fucking good. It is the saddest album ever.
As It Is?
Yes. We're always like super sugary, upbeat, fun pop punk, and then they like, I guess, I don't know, they all started wearing like eyeliner and lipstick and shit, and like now they sound like Funeral for a Friend. And
I'm not mad at that.
Album, it's fucking insane how good this album is. It's so good.
Are we still talking about As It Is, or are we talking about Trash Boat again?
We're talking about As It Is, and we're talking about As It Is.
So you're bootlegging As It Is into your top 10.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Sure, that's fair enough.
Top 11, As It Is on it. That Trash Boat album is my number 1. This was really hard because you're number one and my number two. It was my number one.
Let's just go ahead and say it. Fucking Turnstile. Time and Space.
Turnstile.
It's an album that I didn't want to like.
Why?
Because I never liked Turnstile.
I really didn't actually care much for Turnstile. And then this album came out, and then I went back and revisited all the Turnstile. It's all awesome.
That's exactly the way.
Rules.
That's exactly the way I got into it too. Because like a year ago, I tried to get into Turnstile because everybody was talking about Turnstile. Like they have been. They're getting, I guess, kind of getting bigger and bigger now.
Turnstile's huge.
In the right crowd, they're huge.
Yeah.
But so. If I feel like people have been talking about them enough that I needed to check them out, and I listened to some of their old stuff from what's it, Nonstop Feeling, I think is their old album.
Yeah. Awesome.
But at the time, just a year ago,
I wasn't into it.
A year ago, I hated it.
I was like, man,
there was one song on it that I was like, okay, this is cool, but then the rest of it, I was like, this is like if Jane's Addiction wrote a hardcore album, and I wasn't into it. But then I listened to Time and Space, and I was like, wow, this is like if Jane's Addiction wrote a hardcore album. And I was like, whoa, this is great.
No, so nothing changed, and what I thought about them didn't change. I just like it now.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly how it happened. Like I forced myself to get through Time and Space because one of our mutual friends, I'm not gonna say mutual friend, is a guy we used to be in a band with, Kyle Manning.
Oh,
Kyle Manning from Fuck You Idiot and Costanza. And he was in Tens. He was in, I don't even know. He was in No Fences.
He was.
He started raving about it on Facebook. Oh, this is such a jam, just jam after jam. And like, if Kyle really likes something, it's at least worth looking into because he's got some weird taste. Like, I'm not usually into the stuff he's into, but his passion for stuff is what gets me to listen to it, and then I learned to appreciate it.
Sure.
Which is what happened with Turnstile, was he just kept raving about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to try this. I'm not going to come at it from a place of hate. I'm going to come at it from a place of, like, I want to see what this is about, and I loved it. Like, and that came out early in the year, and it has just stuck at number one. Yeah.
Getting listened to. I will listen to that album forever.
Stuck at number one the entire year, which is crazy because I was really looking forward to the Soulfly album. So I thought for sure Soulfly was going to unseat Turnstile, and it didn't. No. It came close to me. It came close.
Two, but
yeah. But yeah.
I could listen to that Turnstile album. I'm probably going to listen to it on my way home.
Turnstile, Time and Space. Album of the year for me. Trash Boat for Larry. Mm-hmm. Trash Boat Crown Shyness. I guess I'm going to go ahead and just like rapid. Man, we blew this away like real fast. Oh man, now I'm burping up ramen. Go ahead. You got any like honorable mentions you want to go through?
Oh, I got honorable mentions.
I was gonna say we don't have to go like deep into them, but if we don't have to discuss like why or anything. But
Young Lean was on my 20.
See, you sent that to me and I checked it out. It's not my thing.
It's weird. It's very weird. Very slow, boring, sad.
So I feel like
rap.
To you, the Young Lean was what the Extentation is to me, because I know you weren't into that Extentation album.
I like some of it. I like that screaming shit he does, and like
with Travis Barker.
That's really neat.
But yeah, Young Lean just for whatever reason it didn't hook me.
The Great Collapse album I liked a lot. Great Collapse is like the singer from Strike Anywhere and some other dudes. Maybe somebody else from Strike Anywhere.
I don't know anything about this. I'll have to check that out.
It sounds like Strike Anywhere. Like exactly. But what Strike Anywhere does is like perfect for like they do exactly what they're supposed to do perfectly, and they're great. And it's just a band that sounds like them.
Oh, okay.
It's cool.
Cool. I'll check it out. Great Collapse.
Yeah.
Okay. One of my honorable mentions is the Fever 333, which I've been
cool.
I've been raving about this album since it came out. It came out earlier in this year. They were signed to Roadrunner Records. I said we weren't going to get into stuff like this, but I guess to put it simply, if you like Linkin Park mixed with Rage Against the Machine, that's the Fever 333. Made in America is the name of the album.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. They're trying to pass it off like this like high art project. Like they're not a band. They're like they don't call their shows. They're what are they? I don't know. They're trying to make it sound like they're taking down the system, which they're not going to. They're just another festival band. But they're It's
They're
great.
good.
It's great.
They're a great band. But yeah, it sounds a lot like Rage and Linkin Park.
Rage. That is the album. Is Rage and Linkin Park to me.
That's all right.
I love it though. Smoking Popes, Into the Agony.
It was good.
Just came out a few weeks ago maybe, and it's a great album. It didn't make my top 10 just because there's nothing outstanding about it, but it is exactly what you would expect and exactly what you would want from Smoking Popes if you're a Smoking Popes fan.
True.
It's the Smoking Popes. There's nothing new about it, but it's still great.
Name.
I know. But it's a great record if you like Smoking Popes.
Yes. All around.
Yes. What do you got? You got on your honorable mentions?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. Well, then let me rattle off a couple of mine. Death Grips, Year of the Snitch. I don't think it's even a full length album, but if you like Death Grips, it's a good Death Grips release. It's not for everybody. Death Grips is that's the best way to put it. It's not for everybody. You're either going to really like it or you're really going to hate it, and it's strange. But Skeleton Witch, Devouring Radiant Light.
That's the best band name ever.
It's stupid metal, but at the same time, it's
cool.
Fantastic. It's so fun to listen to. It didn't make my top 10, but I wanted to say it anyway, just because I loved listening to it. And along those same lines, Jungle Rot. They're self-titled this year.
Sure.
Same. Just a good metal album, really fun to listen to all the way through.
Oh, I do have a few more.
Okay.
Deaf Heaven.
Oh, Deaf Heaven. Yeah, that's a band that I want to get into. I don't know why I'm not into them, but I want to get into them.
It's like super specific.
Yeah.
Like if you're not going into it kind of knowing what it's going to be, you're hearing like, what the fuck is going on? This is dumb.
Yeah.
But like, I like them. They're weird. They're cool. It's like shoegazy black metal.
Yeah.
It's weird. Can't believe somebody actually does that.
It's good though. I've enjoyed everything of theirs that I've listened to. It's just for whatever reason I'm not like, I don't know. I'm into it. I'm into it, but I'm also not into it. If that
Terror.
makes sense. Terror. That was on my.
It's a Terror album.
That was on my disappointing list.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounds like Terror.
I know. That's that's the thing. Like it's not a bad. It's not a bad album. It's not a bad album, but the way they hyped it up was making it sound like, oh, this is going to be the hardcore album to end hardcore albums, and it's not. It's a Terror album. You know. If you like Terror, fucking, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. I loved it.
But it's just not. I don't know. You know, for the same reason that I loved the Smoking Popes album, I'm bummed on this Terror album. It's just them releasing stuff that they could have released 10 years ago.
True.
But on my list, Nothing, Dance on the Blacktop. You listen to that at all?
I did.
It's the dude from Jesus Piece. The singer from Jesus Piece is, I believe, the bassist of Nothing.
And Andy really, really into Nothing?
Yeah. But don't listen to that. Don't hear like, oh, it's the guy from Jesus Piece. It's going to be a fucking crazy metal hardcore album.
Not.
It's not at all. It's like a grungy, and that's what I love about it, because it definitely has a new sound to it, but it brought me back to like my childhood of growing up in the mid-90s, early to mid-90s, listening to old grunge, like old Pumpkins and stuff like that. That's what it felt like to me.
Sure.
I'm not saying it sounds like that, but that's the feeling that it
that.
evoked from me, and that's why I loved it. It's a great album.
It is a good album.
Ashley hated it. My wife, she did not care for it. She thought it was boring, but I don't know. I thought it was cool. I was into it. Let's see. J. Cole, we already talked about. Oh, I already got through all my honorable mentions. There's 3 albums that I have not listened to yet that everybody's been raving about. So I'm going to go ahead and recommend them anyways, just because of how much I've heard about them. Moose Blood, I Don't Think I Can Do This.
It's a great album.
I wish I had listened to it. So these albums are albums that I literally just found out about a couple weeks ago, and I just haven't gotten around to them yet. Tiny Kingdoms, Realms.
I haven't listened to it.
I've heard.
Aren't they like from around here?
I think so. I think they're Chicago native. Maybe. I could be wrong about that.
I don't know.
I think I'm friends with one of the dudes on Facebook, and I feel bad for not checking out his album. But, yeah.
No, I think, who is it? I think I might be friends with him too.
I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm not going to look it up right now, but maybe later. And then the other one, With Confidence, Love and Loathing.
It's a cool album, actually.
Everybody keeps talking about it, and every single time I read it, I keep thinking, oh my God, With Honor made a new album, but it's not With Honor, it's With Confidence.
Wish With Honor made a new album.
I know.
No, I don't want to know, because if they do, I think it might suck. And I'd rather them just have what they have out, and I can still be psyched on it.
But I don't know anything about With Confidence. But
they're just like a fun pop punk band.
It's
nothing special.
Enough people have talked about this album that I'm really surprised I haven't heard it yet.
Really good songwriting on it for sure.
So I'm gonna recommend, like I said, Moose Blood, Tiny Kingdoms, and With Confidence. If you get a chance, check those out. Don't listen to, I'm going to say, the new Nine Inch Nails album, Bad Witch. Terrible.
Was it bad?
I listened to it. I hated it. And I like Nine Inch Nails.
I don't really care about Nine Inch
Nails. I have like, I'm just going to go ahead and, we have time, so I'm going to rattle off my last couple, like, disappointing albums of the year.
Oh, sure. Under Oath.
I said that was
the most disappointing album of life.
Yeah. Oh, Under Oath was, easily the most disappointing album of the year. Bleeding Through, Love Will Kill All. I didn't expect much from it, but after they released the first single, I was like, holy shit, this might actually be really good. So I got kind of stoked on it again, and it wasn't a very good album. There's a couple of songs on it that are real good bangers if you like Bleeding Through, but it's like...
I do like Bleeding Through.
I like their first album a lot. And then they released... what was that other album? Vanity, maybe?
Vanity came out like 20 years ago or something.
Yeah, it was like
with the pink and the squirrely,
2005 or something.
White thing.
Yeah, Vanity.
That's a great album.
I didn't like it. I liked Bleeding Through before that. I didn't like... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Vanity was 18 Visions.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
But there is, for all intents and purposes, 18 Visions and Bleeding Through are the same band. I think so, anyway. Didn't 18 Visions release an album this year, too? Or was that last year that 18 Visions came out?
I don't know. I can't believe we both thought that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I knew what album you were talking about.
Yeah. Well, like I said, so they were 18 Visions and Bleeding Through both came out at that same time, and there was another band that like literally they like swapped members. Maybe was it Throwdown? Maybe.
Yeah.
They were all three different bands, and then guys from one band quit and went to the other band or something, and it was like a thing. I don't know the full circumstances of it, but that's why I always like mix those three bands up, which Throwdown, in all fairness, does not fit in that category with Bleeding Through and 18 Visions, but 18 Visions and Bleeding Through absolutely, I believe, fit in a category together. Bleeding Through like tries to be more gothy, but end of the day, they sound like 18 Visions. 18 Visions was last year. Bleeding Through was this year.
I thought the 18 Visions was the gothy one.
No, Bleeding Through is the one that has the keyboard player that plays like the weird like synth strings over everything. Okay. That's Bleeding Through.
Oh, I like 18 Visions. I don't like Bleeding Through.
The 18 Visions album last year was better than the Bleeding Through album was this year. That was a disappointment to me. Okay. I wanted the Bleeding Through album to be good because the first single they released off it, like I said, was really good. Eminem Kamikaze.
I didn't give a fuck about it.
I didn't either. I didn't even know it was. Well, it was a surprise release, wasn't it? Like it wasn't hyped
it was
up
like
or
the
anything.
Biggest shit to ever happen, and I just
everybody wouldn't shut up about it, so I checked it out, and I don't get it. It's not.
I like Eminem. I mean,
I'm not a big Eminem fan either.
Eminem is really cool.
He's a very talented rapper, and he is a very talented lyricist. Like, just
sure.
But it's just not. It's not for me. You know, not for me.
Yeah.
And then I know nobody else in the world was looking forward to this album, but Seven Dust, All I See Is War. I love Seven Dust. I've had a soft spot for Seven Dust since the first time I heard them in like fucking 1999.
I don't know the difference between Seven Dust and Soulfly.
Oh, there's a huge difference. Huge difference.
All right, cool.
Seven Dust is more like so Kill Switch with Howard Jones.
Yes, the best Kill Switch.
Yes, absolutely.
Woo! Oh my god, I love that so much.
If they went more nu metal and less metalcore, they would be Seven Dust.
Oh, Seven Dust good?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Seven Dust. There's really good guitar work. Their drummer is incredible. And their singer has this really cool like you most nu metal bands, they like try to do that this like I don't know, they try to do screaming stuff and but Seven Dust was never about the screaming. They were more about the singing, and their singing is more of like, it's not nu metal singing. It's almost like I said, like Howard Jones. You know how Howard Jones has like that almost like operatic kind of voice when he sings, you know, like beautiful, like resonant. Yeah. It's Seven Dust is along those same lines vocally.
I feel like if Killswitch music wasn't as I don't want to say it's cool because it's actually really boring and cookie cutter and like it's not spectacular or good.
But it is spectacular.
No,
and good.
they're like my favorite metal band by a huge landslide. But like if he was singing in some other band and I heard it, like this guy's voice is fucking lame. I don't like this.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about though, because the guy from Seven Dust wouldn't sound good with any other band except Seven Dust. I would hate him if he was trying to sing for Slipknot, or hate him if he was trying to sing for Soulfly. But his voice works with their sound, and it's really good. And there's a couple of tracks on this new Seven Dust album that are really, really good. But overall, as an entire album, is kind of a bummer.
Sure.
So yeah, I guess we can end on that bummer note. No, for real though. So you just you want to do a quick like?
Well, I was really bummed out by the Ghost album.
Well, you should be, because Ghost fucking sucks.
There's an instrumental song on that album that has like a sexy sax solo in it, and it's fucking insane. It's so good.
I couldn't dislike Ghost more if
that album sounds like Elton John wrote it, but like not in a cool way.
I like that comparison.
Elton John bangs hard.
Oh, for sure.
But like, he shouldn't write a metal album.
He probably should. Metal though.
No, it's rock.
It's
a rock
it's
album.
rock. It's dark rock.
It's not even that dark.
I don't get Ghost. I don't.
Have you heard the sax riff? Is that what you call a sax part, a riff?
Maybe.
If you heard the sexy sax riff at the end of this instrumental song, you would shit.
I'll check it out.
It's so fucking good.
Speaking of sexy sax riffs, the Soulfly album actually ends with an instrumental track.
With a sax riff?
With a sax solo in it, and it's awesome. I
want a sax solo in something.
So we're gonna get off topic here, but there was a hardcore band from Northwest Indiana, and I want to say maybe like 2003, 2004. They had a saxophone player. It was a hardcore band with a saxophone player, and it was awesome. And actually, I think I don't know whatever happened. I don't even remember what they were called, and I feel bad now.
Sax is cool.
Shouldn't have even brought it up. Fucking stupid.
How do you not know what they're called when you know that some specific shit about them?
Because I was a friend of the guy that played saxophone actually in the band, Quinn Richmond. Now I threw that name out there. That might be completely wrong. That might not be the guy that played saxophone in the band at all.
You're just saying.
I'm saying things now. I'm saying. I swear to God, though. I swear to. Whatever. It's not important. So this is gonna be the most awkward ending of any podcast ever. Yeah, cool. I'm sure people will enjoy this.
I one time saw a blues band and they had a guy that played like a big arcade machine. I was a friend of a guy named Brian.
Oh, fuck. I thought you were being serious with this.
No, I'm just saying random shit like you were.
Oh. Okay, well, you don't have to make me sound like an idiot. So, number one albums of the year, Turnstile, Time and Space, and Trash Boat, Crown Shyness. Is that how we can sum it all up then?
100%.
And also, just on another note, Turnstile, saw them live for the first time a couple weeks ago. And holy shit, if you have a chance to see Turnstile live, fucking go. Even if you don't like their music, go. It's just, they have so much energy, and they were so fun to watch, and it's just good. Good, like, it's weird, like, upbeat hardcore.
Yeah.
It's like surfer hardcore. Except for they're from the East Coast. They're not surfers, but...
Do you surf in that ocean, too?
Can you? Can you surf in Boston?
Can you surf in Boston? I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that. I always just imagined it's...
The East Coast, like the whole ocean is just real fucking still the whole time.
No, I mean, it's like the weather's not right for surfing, right?
I mean, I'm sure at some parts.
Maybe. I don't know.
You could probably surf there.
I don't know. Anyway, so Turnstile, Time and Space, Trash Boat, Crown Shyness, and any of the other albums. Maybe, I'll put together a Crucial Tunes playlist of our top music on Spotify. Right. And we'll officially, we've got a Facebook page. If you're listening to this episode, you can officially now check us out on Facebook. Look up Crucial Tunes. It's got the cool logo. It's a black logo with like neon letters with a skeleton
and a boombox.
It's fucking rad logo. But yeah, check us out. Just follow us on Facebook. We'll probably start pushing the social media stuff now because I believe this show is going to be coming to the Journey into Comics Network very soon. Maybe within a couple of weeks, I think the new season of Journey into Comics starts. So you'll be checking us out every other week from here on out, I guess.
Cool.
So with that being said, journeyintocomics.com, Crucial Tunes on Facebook. We'll get our social media plugs out on the next episode because we don't have everything together yet, but we are on Facebook already. So come check us out. And I will drop a Spotify playlist on the Facebook page with all of our top albums on it.
Are we doing whole albums? Just like
we should probably just do singles.
Like pick like 2 songs per album.
Yeah, just that way people don't get overwhelmed trying to listen to these albums.
Sure.
And then if you like the 2 songs, absolutely check out the full albums because they're worth it. So thanks for tuning in to Crucial Tunes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And you want to sign out?
Yeah. Peace.